What's up? Welcome to Smarter Baseball. Thank you for joining me today. When we talk about a player's prime, generally we talk about guys starting to enter their prime maybe about 26, 27, about 28 probably by the latest. We have a lot of really young, talented players in Major League Baseball right now that haven't hit their prime, still have a lot of room to improve. And for some of these guys, that's kind of scary to think about. So today, because I'm clearly the authority to tell any of these guys how to get better at their job, let's go ahead and take a look at a bunch of players, 10 guys in Major League Baseball here that are going into their age 26 seasons or younger, and see where do they maybe still have some holes in their game or things that they can improve on that's going to take them from like star to superstar or superstar to like, I don't even know what. Let's just go ahead and get into it. First, we're going to go ahead and talk about Adley Rutschman, catcher for the Baltimore Orioles. Now in 2022, Adley played 113 games after making his debut, 13 home runs, /254, 362, 445 for an 806 OPS, 128 OPS plus, 133 WRC plus, and put up 5.2 B WAR and 5.3 F WAR. 5 WAR is an all-star level. I'd say that's a pretty good debut there for Adley. But let's find some of this room for improvement here for him. When we look across the board, as far as, you can kind of tell from the slash line, when he was hitting the ball, it was pretty solid. Barrel percentage, hard hit, all of that's kind of above average there. The exit velo, though, was a little bit below, and the home run percentage was just a tick below average. So there's probably some of our room for improvement here. Now, how does he go about doing that? Really, across the board, Adley was, his approach was phenomenal. Not striking out a lot, walking a ton, wasn't chasing, wasn't really swinging all that much. Very, very good approach. Just when it came to how he ended up hitting the ball, he was popping it up just a little bit more than you would like. And that's about the worst outcome that you can have as a batter, to just pop it straight up in the air. Good luck getting anything good to happen on that. And he tended to hit the ball a little bit more back up the middle. A guy that we know that he's got this pop in there. The exit velo, this is the average exit velo, was a little bit low, but if I remember correctly, his max exit velo was fairly high, or at least not low like this. So there is that power in there. If he can hit the ball just a little bit more square, get those pop-ups down a little bit, and maybe look to start pulling the ball a little bit more. I think one, not popping it up, that obviously is going to help with the exit velo. It's going to help with the batted ball stuff, all of that. And then, if he's looking to pull the ball a little bit more, where he's going to tend to hit it a little bit harder than he was when he was hitting it back up the middle, that should help both the exit velo, the hard hit percentage, all of that. And maybe for him, this isn't necessarily a case of really having to fix a whole lot, to change much up with the swing or anything like that. Maybe this is just a case of this is his first tilt in the majors, and now that he's kind of seen major league pitching, knows what to expect a little bit more, we're going to see both of these just kind of correct themselves a little bit more naturally, and Adley's just going to absolutely take off this next year. Next up, we can go ahead and talk about Julio Rodriguez, center fielder, Seattle Mariners, also making his debut this year, 132 games, 28 home runs, /284, 345, 509. That's an 854 OPS, 147 OPS plus, 146 WRC plus, put up 6.2 B WAR and 5.3 F WAR. Again, pretty damn good. This is your rookie of the year. So what Julio does very, very well is he hits the absolute shit out of baseballs. ISO, barrel percentage, exit velo, hard hit was over 50%. Over half the time Julio hits the ball, it's going 95 plus. This dude absolutely crushes baseballs. And for a guy like this, you would think that he's trying to hit the ball in the air, but this is one of the things where we can start getting into this with Julio. The launch angle was low and the ground ball percentage. Julio is primarily a ground ball hitter, and for a guy that hits the ball as absolutely hard as he does, that's like the last thing you want to see happen. You want to see a guy like this start to lift the ball a little bit more. And maybe this comes from his approach. Basically everything across the board here, strikeout percentage was high, walk percentage was low, so not a good ratio between the two. Julio will chase, he will swing early, he will swing often, he's gonna whiff. Patience, Julio. That's gonna be the big thing for him. If he can stay patient, look to pick his spots a little bit more, and just try to get a little bit more like hittable pitches. I don't know how many times I would watch him come up to bat and he would get a slider off the corner down and away from a righty, swing and miss, swing and miss, swing and miss. If he can stay a little bit more patient and not try to just kill every single baseball that's relatively close to the plate, we could see some really, really crazy numbers from him. Pitchers don't want to pitch to him. Make them have to throw you something. They're not going to throw you a whole lot over the plate. Make them have to like come at you. Don't take the easy or the, I guess, real difficult pitches that the pitchers want you to hit. Next up, in a very, very similar vein here, now we have Michael Harris II, center fielder for the Atlanta Braves. 114 games for him last year, 19 home runs, 297 average, 339 on base, 514 slugging, 853 OPS for a 135 OPS plus, 136 WRC plus, 5.3 BWAR, and 4.8 FWAR. Again, high ISO, barrel percentage, exit velo, hard hit, homers per fly ball. Harris hits the ball really, really hard. He's got this power in that bat, but even more so than Julio, Harris's launch angle is 4.5 degrees. MLB average is 12.1. He's absolutely drilling the ball into the ground over 55% of the time. Again, this is a guy that you would want to look to try to lift the ball. And he's pretty much just hitting the ball back up the middle, not really pulling it all that much compared to at least Julio was pulling the ball still. If Harris can look again for some more stuff that he can kind of lift, that he can get out in front of, and that's going to kind of come down to his approach here as well. Strikeout percentage high. Walk percentage is almost half of MLB average this year. Chasing a ton. He doesn't swing early, but after that first pitch, then it's all right. It's fair game. Here we go. Swinging over half of the time, whiffing quite a bit. Again, you see kind of with a lot of these younger guys, it's being patient, picking your spots. Not every pitch is a ball that you can do damage on. And if I'm a pitcher and I've got guys like this, I'm going to try to throw them the pitches I want them to hit. That makes way too much sense. That's very great insight there. But I'm not going to give these guys anything to try to hit. If anything, I'm going to miss off of the plate because they're probably still going to swing at it, and then they're doing me a favor with that. Now, are these guys then clearly that can still absolutely hit bad pitches really silly Billy really well? Yes, they can. But I would rather them take the chance on hitting a really tough pitch rather than giving them something over the plate. Both Rodriguez, like I talked about, and Harris here as well, Let some of those pitches go. It's okay to take some walks. Make these guys throw you something that you can really hit and then unload on it. You don't have to try to unload on every single pitch. All right, and since apparently I just really like talking about this particular kind of hitter, let's go ahead and go out to Toronto, and we're going to talk about their shortstop, Bichette. 159 games in 2022, 24 home runs, 290, 333, 469 slash line for an 802 OPS, 127 OPS plus, 129 WRC plus, and Bo put up 3.6 B-WAR and 4.5 F-WAR. Again, just in the same vein here as Julio and Harris, Bo hits the ball really hard and really well. But again, Bo is almost 50% ground balls here. The launch angle's a little bit low, not a ton of fly balls. And weirdly, as hard as Bo's hitting the ball, he's doing this by mainly slapping it the other way, or at least way more than your average hitter does. Again, maybe this kind of comes in with the approach here. Not striking out quite a bit. He's right about average, but not walking a ton, so not a great ratio between the two of them. And Bo will chase a lot. He swings an insane amount on the first pitch, and then he keeps swinging even more after that. So once again, this is a guy that it's just like, man, chill a little bit here. You don't have to try to hit everything. I think if Bo, again, early in a count, sit and look for stuff you can drive, you can pull, hit in the air, really try to do some damage on. But then clearly, Bo has this ability here to not only hit the ball hard to about every part of the field, but to really limit the amount of or not limit strikeouts, because he's about average there, but he has this ability to hit balls, grounders, line drives, whatever, back up the middle the other way, all of that, and hit it really, really well. And clearly it works. 290 average. He has that skill set. Use that when you go 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, when you're behind and you have to kind of fight in the count. But early in the count, this is a guy that can do damage. He should look to do more of this damage and really, really try to bank on that. He doesn't whiff a ton. So if he's going to swing, he's probably putting a pretty good swing on it. If he can try to look to do this damage early and then fall back on this skill set, he could turn into a very, very complete hitter. And to wrap this up, we're going to actually stay in Toronto, and we're going to get another very complete hitter here. And we're going to talk about catcher Alejandro Kirk. 139 games last year, 14 home runs. Kirk slashed 285, 372, 415 for a 786 OPS, but a 126 OPS plus, 129 WRC plus, and he had 3.9 B-WAR and 3.8 F-WAR. Now, you would probably look at this and go, he had a 415 slugging, not very high, little above average, but not anything crazy. And it's not all that different than his batting average. The ISO's pretty low. Barrel percentage is right about average. But Kirk actually has a fairly good exit velo, hard hit percentage, and his home runs per fly ball show that he can put the ball over the fence when he actually hits the ball in the air. And again, that's kind of the thing here with him. Primarily ground ball hitter, right at 50%. Doesn't pull the ball a ton. Mainly, again, just kind of hitting it back up the middle, hitting it the other way there. But Kirk has shown he has a phenomenal approach. There aren't a whole lot of guys that are going to walk more than they strike out. He's one of them. 10.7% K rate, 11.6% walk rate. Doesn't chase. doesn't swing at the first pitch, doesn't swing hardly at all, never whiffs. Kirk has this plate approach. That is very, very clear. So he knows the strike zone. He knows pitches that he's looking for, and he's not gonna strike out when he gets into a bad situation. He especially, when he does have this power that he can use to put the ball over the fence, use this power, use it early in the count, and then fall back on this skill set that I would say even more than Bo, he very clearly has. Can absolutely hit the ball hard, spray it around the ballpark, keep himself from striking out, and knows the strike zone. He's not going to swing at bad pitches, so he can clearly recognize what's coming at him. If he can sit early in those counts for balls that he can try to destroy, dude, Kirk could very easily turn into one of the better, more well-rounded hitters here. So now we've talked about hitters. There's our 5 hitters. Let's go ahead and we're going to talk about 5 pitchers now. And if we're going to talk about young star pitchers in baseball, there's nobody else I think we can start with here than Spencer Strider from Atlanta. 31 games last year, 131 and 2/3 innings with a 2.67 ERA, 1.83 FIP, 2.41 SIERA, which is a stat I've talked about before. It's basically FIP on steroids because it also takes batted ball data into effect. So not only strikeouts, walks, and home runs, but then what kind of contact are you allowing on balls in play? Strider also had a 65 ERA minus, 47 FIP minus. Again, for minus stats, opposite of plus. 100 is still average, but every point now you're below 100 is 1% better than league average. So once again, 65 ERA minus and 47 FIP minus. Strider in this time had 3.7 B WAR and 4.9 F WAR. He limits the amount of good contact against him. All barrel percentage, exit velo, hard hit, all of that kind of stuff. Where he could maybe see a little bit of improvement though is on the batted ball. When guys are putting the ball in play, they're not hitting it particularly well. But I mean, if we're gonna find any steps forward for him here, one of them is ideally having guys hit the ball just on the ground a little bit more, limit any potential damage. The fly ball is a little high, the line drive's a little high. Not anything to really be concerned about with him or anything, especially when guys aren't hitting the ball particularly well. But for Strider, one of the big things is going to be trying to get this walk rate down. The strikeout rate's absolutely insane, 38.3%. 22.4 was the average this year. But the walk rate is just a hair above average. If he could get that down even more and make guys just have to hit this stuff that you can't hit, good luck trying to face this guy. The one area where he could probably really impact this is he's not throwing the first pitch strike quite at average. If he can get better at that, get these strikes earlier and get guys even more behind in counts earlier, dear God, help anybody trying to hit this mustachioed macho ass man. All right, next up we can talk Logan Webb, starter for the San Francisco Giants. 32 starts last year, 192 and a thirds innings, 2.90 ERA, 3.03 FIP, 3.56 SIERA. He had 47% quality starts, a 73 ERA minus, 80 FIP minus, 4.7 B WAR, and 4.2 F WAR. So just a little bit shy there of like all-star level value when you talk about WAR. Now, Webb is a guy that he limits barrels, but he does still get hit fairly hard. And that's pretty much because Webb is your like prototypical just pound the ball into the dirt ground ball guy. 57% ground ball rate. That's doing him a bunch of favors in this sense. He does get pulled fairly frequently, doesn't throw particularly hard, and he's not getting a whole lot of strikeouts, not getting a lot of whiffs, really just doesn't have put away kind of stuff. He's really relying on this. I'm going to get you to hit the ball, and you might hit it fairly hard, but you're going to blast it into the ground, and you're not going to end up doing a whole lot with that against me. So as far as for him, maybe if he can just kind of get in the zone a little bit more, he's above average, but not anything crazy. Maybe start turning some 0-1 counts into 0-2 counts. I mean, really just get ahead of guys. Maybe then they can't quite turn on it as much. They can't hit the ball quite as much. And maybe he just starts finding a couple strikeouts here and there. Maybe with that too, then he already had switched from a four-seam fastball to the sinker. Maybe he just tries around with another type, like a two-seamer or something like that, and maybe he finds something that he gets a little bit more spin on and can kind of work out a little bit better for him. So now we're going all the way back up north to Toronto, because if I'm going to talk about young pitchers now, I got to talk about Alek Manoah. Starter for Toronto, 31 starts this last year, 196 and 2/3 innings, 2.24 ERA, but 3.35 FIP and 3.85 Sierra. 81% quality starts though is absolutely insane. 58 ERA minus, 83 FIP minus. So still very good there. I will give him that, but as we kind of get into this stuff, there's a clear difference there between the ERA and the FIP. And as a stat nerd, I definitely got to talk about that. So we'll get to that. 5.9 B WAR and 4.1 F WAR. So a little discrepancy there again. Baseball Reference tends to go more towards ERA. They look at just on-field results versus kind of how everything happened. Whereas F WAR leans a little bit more. They use FIP as their main thing, and they kind of go more with, well, what was the underlying stuff of how a pitcher actually pitched versus maybe the results that end up kind of happening from that, which can kind of be out of the pitcher's control. So for Manoah here, really limits the amount of good quality contact against him. Barrel percentage low. Guys do not hit him hard, and they are not putting the ball over the fence against him. Where though this maybe could change and could come back to bite him is if guys do end up hitting him hard, they can really lift the ball against him. Launch angle is very high, not a lot of ground balls. The fly ball percentage particularly is really, really high, but he does kind of make up for this also by getting a really good amount of pop-ups as well. And guys tend to kind of pull the ball against him more. He's not really getting them jammed, having them hit it back up the middle, hit it the other way, anything like that. Strikeout percentage is a little bit above average, not really walking guys. I mean, really attacks hitters, which is a very, very good thing. So, I mean, again, not getting hit very hard right now, which is definitely benefiting him here with this. He's definitely more of a fly ball pitcher. So if he's getting more up in the air, softer contact versus guys really being able to drive these fly balls, that's definitely what's helping him here. But if he could try to get that launch angle down to where guys can not lift the ball as much and potentially do damage against him when they do hit it hard, that's only going to help him with some of this more advanced stuff here. I mean, the only thing really with the way that he goes after hitters, if he could maybe be in the zone a little bit more, maybe a little bit more often. Now, he's above average at both of these, but not anything crazy. If he could just go at guys to where maybe then they can't kind of sit back in some of these cases to really try to lift the ball, to pull it more. If he can just go right at guys and get ahead of them, I mean, this is stuff that guys end up chasing. They whiff on a little bit. He's got pretty good stuff. Really challenge these guys now. Take that next step, show you are that dude, and really go at them. And I guarantee you, not only will the ERA and the results stay positive like this, but all of the underlying stuff as well will probably take a jump up to meet it more where that's at. Next, we can go now out to LA, but we're going to talk about right now LA's little stepbrother, the Los Angeles Angels, and we're going to talk about Patrick Sandoval. 27 starts last year, 148 and 2/3 innings with a 2.91 ERA, 3.09 FIP, but a 3.94 SIERA. 74 ERA minus, 76 FIP minus, 3.5 B WAR, and 3.8 F WAR. Now, Sandoval again limits the amount of quality contact against him. Barrel percentage, exit velo, hard hit, all of that very, very low, keeps the ball in the ballpark, and is more of a ground ball pitcher here. The launch angle is a little bit below average, quite a few ground balls, but again, he is getting pulled a little bit more rather than getting guys a little bit more behind him, having to kind of go back up the middle or away where you can really try to limit damage. Mainly for him, it's gonna kind of come down to the way that he's attacking these hitters. He has strikeout stuff already above average, but is kind of struggling right now with the walks, with staying in the zone and getting in the zone early. Ideally, that's where you start. 0-1 is a way better start to an at-bat than 1-0 for a pitcher. Get these first pitch strikes, and then ideally after that, if he can stay in the zone more, I mean, again, stuff that guys are chasing already when he's struggling to stay in the zone and are whiffing a ton. If he can live in the zone a little bit more, let this high strikeout stuff really play for him, dear God, that's only going to help him get even better here. When guys are behind, they can't look to do damage as much, to really try to get something that they can handle. If they have to react more to something like this, than what he's throwing them, their batted ball stuff, all of this is only going to get so much worse. And now we're going to talk about our last pitcher here, and that is Triston McKenzie for the Cleveland Guardians. 31 starts in 2022, 191 and a thirds innings, 2.96 ERA, 3.59 FIP, and 3.57 SIERA. So you better believe we're going to talk about that difference there. 60% quality starts, 76 ERA minus, but 91 FIP minus, 3.9 B WAR, and 3.6 F WAR. Triston is a guy, unlike these guys I've kind of talked about before here, Manoah and Sandoval, where Triston tends to get hit fairly hard and pretty well. 9.8 barrel percentage, exit velo, hard hit, homers, all this stuff is above average. He is giving up quite a few fly balls, a very high launch angle, not a lot of grounders. So when you kind of look at the way that Triston goes at guys here, he gets a good amount of strikeouts, does not walk guys hardly ever. He's in the zone. He has pretty good stuff that guys are chasing, they're whiffing on, all of this stuff. What this probably tells me is that Triston is a guy that's just going to go right at hitters. And there's a difference, though, between not throwing a lot of walks and really pitching, really hitting your spots, really throwing tough pitches. My thought would be, looking at this, that Triston tends to live over the heart of the plate a little bit more than he should. Now, he has good stuff, so he can get away with this. He still gets the strikeouts. He limits the amount of runs and everything against him here. But looking again at like the barrels, exit velo, all of this kind of stuff, that tells me that he's just challenging guys so much that either one of three things is like, or one of a couple things is going to happen. One, you're not going to walk because he's throwing it over the ball or over the plate so much. We can finish this out. Let's go, man. he's either then going to strike you out because his stuff is fairly hard to hit, or then he's throwing these pitches so hittable that when you do hit it, you hit it really well and really far. So if he can kind of pick and choose and hit his spots a little bit better, pitch a little bit more rather than just kind of be throwing this good stuff, that's where you could see this really all go down and even out for him as well. Only my thoughts on these guys, how they improve their game. What do you guys think about this? Who are maybe some other stars that we could talk about? We could always do another video of this. Anything maybe I got right, got wrong, different ways that you guys would have these guys take steps forward. Comment all that down below. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, however you guys want to support the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next one, where we're going to talk about the flip side of this. Stay tuned.